Welcome to the Women in Leadership Body, Mind, Soul, and Business podcast. I'm Charlie.
And I'm Heather, and together we are working to connect women in leadership and business, improving the health and wellness of our community, body, mind, and soul, sharing the heart and soul of who we are and what we do.
This amazingly talented and knowledgeable gal, super fun and spunky, loves her little homestead to pieces and supports her community well. Here at the table with us in person today, I'm so excited, is the amazing CEO of Ashton for Homes. Ashton, hey, nice to have you.
Thank you.
And did you notice we matched today?
I thought it was like we all got the memo.
I just actually looked at the camera. I was like, we got the blue memo. We all matched today.
We didn't plan for this. Nobody actually sent me that email. I was not CC'd on that memo.
Right. No, me neither. I just got dressed this
I
morning.
went. Our old producer B was also in the same hues today too. It was like, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
You two
true.
looked like you were wearing practically the same shirt. I was like,
That is
what
funny.
is happening?
You know you're in by when everybody's dressed similarly that day. It must be the gray skies.
It must be.
It must be the gray skies.
Yeah. It won't be
We'll
for
get
long.
sunshine soon.
June. Well, we gotta water the
Soon.
plants. And
Yes. Speaking of, Ashton, you've been at our table a couple of times now here on the podcast with us.
Thank you.
You have a lot of fun stuff going on with your little homestead, but more importantly, we wanted to talk about everybody's homesteads and how things are being affected right now.
so why don't you first tell any new listeners, like,
Who
who are you? What do you do?
Yeah. So she mentioned it briefly that I have a homestead. That's generous. I would love to say that I have a homestead. It's a working in progress homestead. I have 5 acres that I've owned for about 2 years now. And I'm a city girl who just always dreamed of having a farm. And so when we purchased, I jumped in both feet. And now I have about 40 chickens and about 30 ducks. And we have like about a 4,000 square foot garden.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting to be a homestead. And I'm hoping that by about this time next year, we'll be entirely self-sufficient from our garden and our meat that our homestead produces. So that'll be exciting. But right now it's just a lot of hard work and a lot of learning. I've learned so much about gardening, man. So much about animal husbandry.
I'm still learning. I have you said your garden's 4,000 square feet?
Yep.
Mine's a little smaller than that, and I thought it was big.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, that's big.
It's just under 4,000 square feet. Yeah.
And
It's about twice as big as my house.
and how many people are in your family?
We have 5 people in our family.
Okay, so the plan is for this 4,000 square feet and the chickens and stuff to feed that family.
Yep. So I'm personally not a big veggie eater. So we have a lot of berry bushes. We have big orchard. And the veggies that are in our garden are veggies that I would actually be okay with eating.
That's the kind of veggies I grow too.
Exactly.
And then we have a lot of things that we just grew an extra abundance of, specifically to help offset the feed costs for the birds. So we have like a huge corn, almost field.
Oh yeah,
You know,
chickens love
And,
garden leftovers.
Yep, we're growing way too much kale. I don't like kale, way too much kale, but ducks and chickens love that stuff and it's super healthy for them. So chard, not a big fan of rainbow chard, but we got a bunch of it.
Have you tried making kale chips?
I know, but see, at that point, I have to put like so much seasoning on it that it's just like a vehicle for the seasoning to get to my mouth. It's not. We got sidetracked on kale chips for a minute, but in addition to being a small homesteader, I'm also a real estate agent. I've been a real estate agent for 4 years now. Next month will be my 4-year mark. Woohoo. And I have Ashton for Homes with Keller Williams North Sound. And I help mentor and train agents under Anton Stetner with the Real Estate Solutions Group. And, you know, I'd love to use this opportunity to talk about what's going on with the market, because that seems to be something that's really, it's changing a lot in the last couple of years. And it doesn't, even if you're not up to date on all of it, there's no way you've missed out on the fact that the real estate market is kind of crazy.
Right.
Right.
You didn't miss that. That's happened.
And I feel like it's also something that's going to affect everybody just differently.
Absolutely.
You know, as young adult, you know, my oldest is getting ready to graduate high school. She cannot afford rent anywhere.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, it's like a trickle down effect. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. The millennials is the largest generation. It's even eclipsing the boomers. So there's so many millennials right now, and those are all in their early 30s. So they're coming into the market, and there's this entire generation that can't afford, because our home prices are just too expensive right now. But at the same time, landlords, rent is going up too.
Yeah.
So the average rental right now for a young family, you know, a 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom home, 1,500 to 2,000 square feet, that in Snohomish County, that's right around $25,000 to $3,000.
That's crazy.
That is a mortgage payment, you guys.
That's what I pay in my mortgage here.
That's a mortgage payment.
Yeah.
So if you are able to afford that kind of a monthly rent, you really you can afford a house. I'm telling you right now, you can afford a house. Okay. And it might not be everything that you wanted. It might be your dream, not be your dream home. It might, in fact, be a step down from your current rental, but it allows you to get your foot in the door in order to build equity. Because right now, well, a few months ago, back when the real estate market was especially crazy and people were selling houses with 25 offers and $150,000 over list, and if you accept our offer, we'll throw in a Tesla for you. And I mean, like, stuff happened. That actually happened. It was crazy.
We'll leave you the Tesla.
That isn't happening anymore. So that's really good for these buyers to be able to step in and be able to finally afford something right now. And that is mainly due to interest rates. The fact that prices are, or there's not so many offers on the table for all these houses, is due to the interest rates rising, which is kind of hard to understand, but let me explain it for you. Okay. So if you're a seller, the biggest thing I want you to understand right now is that we've hit the peak of the market. Okay. So if you're a seller, now's the time for you to cash out, get that equity out, and be able to go on to your next thing with all that money in your pocket, because house prices are starting to drop again. They aren't coming up on my stats yet because my stats are 30 days behind, right? Because it takes about 30 days for a house to close and the info to be released. So, but I'm seeing it. I'm seeing price reductions that I haven't seen in 2 years. Price reductions don't happen because the real estate market was so crazy. Now I'm seeing price reductions. I'm not seeing 25 offers anymore with $150,000 over list and a Tesla. I'm seeing maybe 1 offer, maybe 2 offers. I'm seeing houses staying on the market for longer and then having to do a price drop. So if you're a seller, it's time to cash out. Okay. You've hit the jackpot. The slots are there. Let's go. If you're a buyer, let's talk about the interest rates, because I want you to stop focusing on the big, oh my gosh, this house is $500,000. That's a huge number in my head, but really that number doesn't matter, because you're not paying $500,000. You are paying $3,000. That's your monthly payment. That's what makes a house affordable to you. You're not, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So the interest rate is going to be the biggest factor in what that monthly payment is. So if your interest rate is low, then that means that for $3,000, you could be affording more than $500,000. If that interest rate is high, then your $3,000 is going to be $300,000, not $500,000. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because the interest rate affects your buying power.
Yes.
Because it affects how much the bank is willing to give you.
It affects your monthly payment, and the bank doesn't care. The bank only cares about your buying power in regards to your monthly payment. They say you make this much money in income, which means that you can afford, by our calculations, you can afford this much money as your monthly payment. But if a big chunk of that monthly payment is interest, then that means that your buying power just lessened. Are we following?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Wow.
I brought a graph, and I know this is a podcast, so it's
It's going to
not
be shareable.
something that you guys can see necessarily. But I think the numbers that I just wanted to talk to you guys real briefly about is June of 2021, so a year ago. The average price was $705,000 for a home in Snohomish County. That's a residential home of all sizes and all ages. The average home price in Snohomish County was $705,000 at a 3.3% interest, which meant that your monthly payment was $3,900.
Okay.
Okay. In January of 2022, so 6-7 months later, interest went up half a point, just half a point. Only half a point, not that much, 3.8. But the average price point dropped from 705 to 700. Okay. So our average price for a home dropped $5,000, but the interest rate went up 0.5%. And your monthly payment, because of that interest rate going up, went up $200 to $4,100 per month. So even though the house prices went down, your monthly payment went up. And if somebody told you and you were renting 6 months, your house price is going to go up, you'd be like, I'm out of here. Like, that's ridiculous. Every 6 months, my rent is going to go up $200. So there's no point in you waiting for the market to drop, because when the market drops, it's due to interest rates going up, which means that you can no longer afford that drop. Right now, interest rates are 5.5%. It's the highest that they've been in years. The average home price is $831,000, which means that the average monthly mortgage payment for that home is $5,600. Guys, that's way too much money.
Average
That's way too much
monthly
money.
mortgage payment is
Which means there's
$5,000.
higher.
Yes.
Like, wow.
So the
To get
average
to be
home,
the average.
the average
Wow.
home in Snohomish County right now is selling for $831,000. If it's a conventional loan, 10% down, decent credit, at the 5.5% interest rates are right now, that means your monthly mortgage payment is $5,600. The feds have already stated that interest rates are going to continue to rise, and they are projecting that interest rates are going to rise to 8 to 9% by the end of the year.
Oh, wow.
Now we are seeing a dip. It's not showing up in these stats yet, like I said, but we are seeing a dip. If the dip comes down to as low as is projected, which is we're going to go back down to what prices were in January of this year at 700,000, but those interest rates continue to rise as projected. We lost $100,000, $131,000, because we went from 831 to 700, right? So the market dropped a lot. For a seller, that's terrifying. You just lost $130,000 in 6 months. For a buyer who decided to wait for that drop, interest rates, they're going to be between 8 and 9%, it's projected. So let's say 8.5%, that $700,000 home cost you $6,000. So even though the price dropped $130,000, for you and your monthly mortgage payment, it actually went up above what it is right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last time
Okay.
I saw the interest rates in the 9s was like back in the early 90s when my parents bought their house, and it was like 9.3%, I think, when they bought it, but it was a $94,000 house.
Right.
Now you can, that's like a car, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for an interest rate, it's low, you know, because historically interest rates have definitely been that high and way higher before, but that was a different housing price bracket.
Right.
So that's just really scary, because I want, as a buyer, I want to really impress on you that if you are waiting, you will not be able to afford waiting, because interest rates are rising, which means it doesn't matter how quickly the market drops, you can't afford it anymore.
And
So-
how long do you, I mean, it could be years before the interest rates come down, if ever.
Yep.
It's
So
the if ever, right?
it's the if ever. There's no crystal ball, right? They are expected to continue to rise this year and next year. At what point they come back down, end of next year or 2024, maybe. But at that point, I mean, real estate prices just continue to kind of drift up. They're on a never-ending trail of drifting up, right? Except for, let's not talk about the 2007. That was a whole like debacle, okay? Otherwise, they're just drifting up, drifting up, drifting up. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter how much the interest rates come down, even if the interest rates come back down into the 3s that we saw last year.
Then you just refi your house.
Yeah, you just refi your house at that point. It would do you no good to wait, because inflation and housing prices are still going to bend you over.
Wow.
It's still going to be hard.
I wouldn't have thought about it necessarily that way, but now that you've explained it all, it makes sense. And then, okay, worst case scenario, you buy a house, you have a crazy interest rate, you refinance later down the road for what you owe on it, you end up with a lower interest rate and you're saving money.
Yep. Absolutely. And you have the equity. So if something does come up in your life, I just purchased my house 2 years ago. I got a ridiculously good interest rate on it. I'll probably never refinance because
me neither.
2020 was really great for interest rates. You bought in 2020, you're golden. But even if I were to sell now, I have gained $150,000 in equity. So if something comes up in my life, I can always do a home equity line of credit, and I can pull $100,000 as a home equity line of credit out of my house in order to be able to put towards whatever I want, like a jumbo credit card, basically.
And over
So
time,
it's really a great buffer for you, a great safety net to be able to own your own house.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because over time, your mortgage payment will never go up.
Right.
Until
you refinance, your mortgage payment doesn't change. Unless you're on a different type of loan. There are some loans that refinance every few years.
Rate.
Yeah, the adjustable rate mortgages. But for your standard, yes,
conventional
mortgages don't change
unless you refinance.
Mhm.
You could always refinance to a lower interest rate if
Yep.
they come available. When and if they come available,
Yep.
but worst case scenario, you're not losing money.
Right.
You're actually gaining more over time.
I mean, I work in real estate, so there's like a whole lot of positives to buying a house. But on a personal note, the biggest positive to me buying a house was the fact that I had like a secure safety net. I was never paranoid about like, oh, what if my landlord finds out about how many animals I have in this house? What if my landlord decides to raise my rent? What if my landlord decides to sell the house out from under me? I have to move. There was always that like fear that my home was not safe. Like I could be kicked out at any moment, right? And so to be able to own your home and not have that fear hanging over your head, to be totally in control and be able to paint my daughter's room hot pink if I want, that's freaking awesome. I love that.
You have a really pretty purple in your room.
I do love the purple that's in my room.
It is really pretty.
Wow. I've zoomed in. Not that I've been in your room.
So, so the advice for people who are looking to buy a home right now
Yep.
is to just
Don't
go
wait.
for it. Don't
wait. Because if you're waiting for a market crash or price drops, the only way those price drops are happening is because it's harder for buyers to get a loan, which means you are a buyer. It's harder for you to get a loan.
Right.
Unless you're a cash buyer, a market drop affects you even harder than it affects a seller. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So for a seller, if you've thought or considered selling in the next 5 years, now's the peak of the market. It might be time for us to chat. If you're a buyer and you're considering buying, do it now before interest rates go any higher, because it's just going to get harder from you from here on out. And I'm so sorry you missed 2020's interest rates.
2019.
2019.
Yeah, that was really great. We actually refinanced the house a year after we moved in because they came down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you just can't refinance more than once a year. But anyway, that
That's
was
cool.
really.
I actually understood it.
I did.
I went like way too deep for like a podcast probably, but I
No,
get
I
really
think
excited about real estate, you know?
I think it really made sense, and I think it'll resonate with a
followed
lot
like
of
better
people.
than I have before. Thank you. Like literally that like housing and real estate, like my brain goes, I don't know.
I know, and it's so many
It doesn't
numbers
make
that it's
sense.
just like
that makes sense. The way
too
you
technical, but
broke it down, I really understand. And I think that will help people when they're looking at the numbers and like, how do I decide?
yeah.
How do I make that choice?
Just jump in with both feet, because it's
If you can afford to rent a single family home, you can afford to buy a single family home. Like there's, I mean, when you're looking at renting a home, there's first, last, deposit,
That's so
right?
expensive.
That's your closing costs right there. Like there's down payment assistance programs. So your first, last deposit is the same as your closing costs. There's no reason for you to say, I don't have any money. A rental requires a decent credit and income and verification. That's the same thing a lender is going to need in order to get you pre-approved for a home. So if you can rent, you can buy.
if you are looking to rent or buy, pretty sure Ashton knows who to talk to.
I know who you can talk to.
And all of her links are in the comments or the description. Ashton, this was an amazing talk that I think a lot of people needed to hear today. Thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
You know, it's always, something that just somebody needed to hear it.
Right.
That
Well, yeah.
needed to get out there.
And I like how you broke it down and so that we can understand it. Absolutely. So here at the podcast, and you're talking about how many animals you have. That's perfect segue. Our cause of the quarter, this quarter is the boogie bin. Have you heard of the boogie bin?
I don't think I have. Please tell me.
Excellent. So they collect gently used or new pet items
Okay.
or animal items for animal rescue agencies, different ones.
Okay.
And so they have collection bins like at Ladders here in Stanwood. They have one at the Copper House, or just check their website. Yeah.
tons of different places, new ones all the time. Flora and Fauna, brand new plant shop downtown Stanwood. They have one there.
Mhm.
It's
They're
over
just
by
amazing.
𝒏𝒄𝒃 Brewery. We like them too. Yummy food.
Mhm.
And they're kind of just redoing that part of Stanwood, and it's turning out to be really cute. And new businesses moving in there.
So pet beds, collars, leashes.
Yeah, all that stuff. Anything,
Right.
anything the puppy or dog may have used, or
Cat.
if they
Yeah.
passed on and you decided not to have any more pets.
Mhm.
Sometimes they'll do bird rescues and different rescues. So even if they have like weird things, like
Like
you're
extra
Okay.
chicken supplies.
what am
they
I
might be
gonna
use
do
it.
with
Hamster
this?
balls.
Exactly.
Yeah, that kind of
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's like interesting, like thinking about like, well, yeah, if there could be one of those out there, a little hamster that needs a little hamster ball, like it's in recovery,
so
it's
cute.
little paw sad, or like I don't know, animal rescue, it happens, right?
Okay,
Like,
yeah.
So that's why when they talk a lot about compassion fatigue, and this is just one way to get back to the people that are helping our animals. So it's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Oh, this week's topics, we've been talking about eating brain boosting fruits and vegetables, which I love that you have. I think fresh blueberries off the bush are like fabulous, like warmed by the sun. Like,
Yeah.
We have
that made your mouth water.
7 blueberry plants.
I got
And
6 or 7 out there, too.
yeah, last year my goats got to them all
Oh no.
before we got any blueberries off of them.
No way. So are they?
We don't have
fenced
goats
now?
anymore.
Oh.
And I expect to get lots of blueberries off those
Mhm.
bushes this
Well,
year.
that's
Yeah,
exciting
that
because
is
usually 2 or 3 bushes fed 2 families once they got going really good. My grandparents' neighbors and us all had like freezers full of blueberries from 3 plants. Like, so you
That's
should
exciting.
7
We'll be
plants should
eating
be
so much blueberries,
fabulous.
fresh, frozen, baked in a pie. Just
all the
all the
blueberries.
blueberries.
I made her this this thing that you take 3 egg whites and half a cup of oatmeal and mix it together, and you make it like a pancake, and then you make just like cook fresh blueberries with a little bit of sugar, and then put them over the top, so like fresh blueberry syrup over it. It's so good.
It's like a very
good.
filling pancake. It was so good. But it was almost cobbler.
We have like the protein from the egg,
Uh-huh.
and then
the whole
oatmeal is
grain.
just so filling
Right.
just on its own.
Fresh
So
blueberry. Yeah.
you've got the
fresh
protein,
berries.
you've got the filling, and then you've got the sweet.
Yeah, it was
Sweet from the
cobblery.
blueberries.
And I like it when you get the fresh blueberry, like get them cooked down, and then you add like a half of a sliced banana, and they just get this pretty purple over the top of them, and then it's really good that way. Anyways, that's my food tip today.
So go make yourself some blueberry oatmeal pancakes. What else we got? Tomorrow we have Amanda Holler on the podcast. You can download that and check out the website for all the cool things at www.womeninleadership.bsmb.com. And Friday we have Allie Jean coming back and hanging out with us, and I can't wait to see what she's up to. So really excited about that. So make sure you join us for that.
Yeah.
Super exciting.
It is
Am I forgetting
exciting.
anything?
No,
Okay,
thank you
I
so
figured
much for being here with us today and joining us in
Thank
studio.
you. Thank
It's
you for
super
having me.
exciting.
Thank
It's always super fun.
Yeah.
And
And you got special tea.
You
It's
did.
really tasty.
they made me this amazing tea that tastes like melted ice cream. It's
This-
way too sweet. It's fabulous. I
So
love it.
good. So good.
It's our favorite.
I'll have to share the recipe.
Yeah.
Ah,
Ooh, 2
ooh.
recipe drops.
All right.
Secret podcast recipes.
Right. Secret podcast recipes. Ashton, we love and appreciate
Thank
you and
you.
everything you do within the community. And for all our listeners, we love and appreciate all of you too. Thank you for supporting us on the
Thank you.
podcast. Reach out to us if you have any questions. We'll be reaching out to you guys here over the next couple of weeks. So sign up for that newsletter, and can't wait to get started on season 4 here soon.
It's coming.
It's coming. Okay.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.